Now moving on to part D, matchmaker. So we can see from the instructions that matchmaker returns a function. And that new function takes in another character, and we compare that new character against C. So we know that here, in this return line, that matchmaker is going to have to return a function. And so in order for it to be able to return a function, we're going to have to define a new function. And we can just call it matcher. It doesn't really matter what we call it. And I know matcher is going to have to take in another character to be able to compare against C. So I'll just call it a D. It doesn't really matter what it's called again. So yeah, now that we've got our new matcher function defined, we have to return matcher here. And make sure we don't have parentheses here because we're not trying to call matcher. Right? We only want to return the function matcher so that we can pass in another character D and then compare against C. Cool. So now inside matcher, we can again use match like we wrote above in part A, and because we're doing the exact same thing, we're comparing if C matches D. So we can just return match 1 0, or sorry, not 1 0, C D, and match will give me a 1 if it matches, and a 0 if it doesn't. Again, you can also rewrite out match here. You have enough lines to do that, but this just saves a lot of code. So cool. Now moving on to part E. So in part E, I'm going to be doing the count letter function, but using the higher order function. So we are probably going to have to use matchmaker like we just did. And so it tells us we have to use them. So I guess we are using matchmaker. So in count letters, I probably want to use something from here, right? So I probably want to return some number, right? So what returns out of all of these three will give me a list, and this one will give me a number. So eventually I'm probably gonna have to use some form of reduce in order to give me back a number. So what's the first thing that I should do? I should probably map some function that we already have, kind of like from matchmaker, onto my string, right? So if I have some count equals map matchmaker. So we're gonna pass C into matchmaker, right? And this will give me matcher. And then matcher will get passed in strings or characters from S. Right? S will give this thing the D's every time. So now that I have counts, I have basically a bunch of ones and zeros depending on if like C matches the given character in the list. So now that I have that, now I want to take this list and reduce it down into just a number. So I'm probably going to want to use this reduce function. So when I want to reduce, I'm going to have a total, right? Because I want to sum up everything, because we're given sum up here. So we're going to take all these values and add them all up together, and that'll give me my total amount of matches. Right, so that's the function I want to pass in. The list I want to pass in is probably going to be counts. Oh, whoops. So I forgot to write filter or reduce. So I want to reduce counts by summing together. Okay. And I forgot my starting value. And I want to start with 0. Cool. So then in the end, I can just return total. And you don't have to do it this way. You can also use like um, list comprehensions, or there's several ways to do this problem, but this is just the way using map filter, reduce, and sum.